What's going on, peeps? I think it's about time we discuss the hyperpop and digicore scene, a niche scene of absolute chaos production-wise that absolutely took off in 2019 with 100 gecs and the late Sophie breaking boundaries. I've even had old acquaintance find viral traction in this space that I would love to talk about eventually. Let's start with one of the most recognizable faces that also helped it make it mainstream, Ericdoa. No, it's not Ericdoa. You may recognize him for creating the low taper fade meme. Imagine him ninja got a low taper fade. But he is more than just some meme. This is an all-inclusive artist pushing the boundaries of genre, detailing his past relationships and other life experiences where you'll realize that this man can't keep a girl to save his life, blending singing and rapping with melodic electronic sounds and heavily processed vocals. Some may say it's hyper rap, others would say he just made his own genre. Heck, the term genre is just basically kryptonite to this dude. In this video, I'll be going over his backstory and catalog to see how the world came to know Ericdoa. Eric George Lopez was born on September 7, 2002 within Fairfield County, Connecticut. He is currently 22 years old. Growing up in a small farm town of Panamanian Puerto Rican descent, Eric had a musical family with an instrument in each hand that exposed the boy to classic pop and R&B acts like Rick James and Tina Marie, as well as rappers like A Tribe Called Quest. Even his great uncle Manchito Mata was a famed salsa Puerto Rican singer. During his younger years, his multi-instrumentalist grandfather gave him his first guitar that he eventually learned. From that point, he became obsessed with music. Even at family gatherings, he'd randomly grab instruments and sing. He would go through his father's CDs trying to figure out all the details in the mix, before writing poetry and short stories. This didn't mean his upbringing was completely clean cut. Eric used to be a troublemaker and often got suspended from school due to hanging around the wrong people. However, after sharing his music on SoundCloud, he seemed to turn his focus towards that and avoided outside trouble. He used to scroll through YouTube a lot and one day encountered multiple really intense rap tracks. He thought, I could do this. But he was only 12, still in middle school, and didn't really start experimenting with music until high school, when he discovered SoundCloud after a friend showed him the music video for Playboi Carti's Broke Boy in computer class. Once he was 14 in 2017, he blended those influences of hip-hop and indie music he found online and taught himself how to record and produce his own songs in his bedroom through FL Studio and Audacity in the 7th grade. He flipped between a lot of styles at the start, trying to become Joey Badass, and open his third eye wasn't the move, let's just say that. Eric simply didn't fit in with a lot of the kids at school, so he turned to the internet instead, leading to day-long Discord and Twitter sessions that allowed him to find other misfits like future go-to producer Glacier. Under the name Kill Eric, he continued recording music using a Guitar Hero Xbox USB microphone, jotting his lyrics down in a notes app. Soon enough, he ran into other chronically online kids like producing puzzle solver Zetra and soon-to-be best friend Glaive. In this very accepting Discord community where they would game and motivate each other as they made music from their bedrooms, throwing stuff at a wall until it stuck. It was an unexplainable escape for him. There was this mixture of OCD, ADHD, and anxiety clouding his brain at all times. Music gave him a way to release everything that was in his head into one file, like how much he hated ISIS. He could revisit it any time and connect with others facing the same things. Eric's early sound was a lot more trap influenced and word slurry, following the lead of Playboi Carti, Thousand Man Fani, and Uno the Activist. While he now sees his old work as formulaic, where you come from is where you come from. His choice of content didn't seem to change though. Down bad relationship struggles, documenting his mental health, and occasionally flexing like on Hypnagogia, Sunrise in New York, and I Feel Disoriented. He released his first EP, Bleed Volume 1, on November 3rd, 2018, followed by a second EP, Bleed Volume 2, on February 26, 2019. Later that year, he changed his name to Ericdoa, a reference to a game he played, Dead or Alive, as well as the term Dead on Arrival, which he thought sounded hard. Everyone in his scene used to have names like Kill something, so he realized his original name Kill Eric was just too basic, so he chose Ericdoa instead to be different. He was going through some dispersonalization issues, feeling like his soul had left his body, almost like being dead, giving us what many consider his debut EP, even though it's technically his third, DOA, on July 7, 2019. Funny enough, this would be removed from streaming services after his latest album came out. We'll get to it. Soon enough, his music picked up a good amount of buzz online. It was a small but loyal following that his friends seemed to be also experiencing. This crowd of theirs was finding their audience. Dismay got featured in an Underground Songs That You Need to Hear video that allowed him to generate thousands of streams for the first time, making the boy feel pretty good. These were songs that they'd been making together over Discord since their early teens, and now his peers were being placed in these editorial Spotify playlists that showcased the hyperpop digicore genre. He hadn't made his digicore transition just yet, but he would join producer collective Nilo World, that produces for some of the biggest hip-hop acts in the game. Eventually, he released his melodic pop trap focused debut mixtape, Public Target, on January 7, 2020. The intro introduces Eric's belief of being a target in society, inspiring other targets to accept themselves. Dealing with past trauma on Mirage, being nervous about this girl that he has lustful desires for on Grinding My Teeth, needing his lover as soon as possible and right away, hoping to rekindle a relationship on A Part of Me, and my favorite, Falling from Heaven. A bit of flexing on Slide, a toxic relationship he's unsure about leaving because he seems to love it on Gossip Girl, and feeling betrayed by an untruthful lover on Cry My Eyes Out. Eric's diversity and experimentation was further shown on other singlets, the more emo rock influenced Waist Deep in Cold Water, and Glaive collab It's All a Waste, lightweight pop rap flexing on What You Worried For, the groovy dance pop I Fucking Hate You, expressing hatred towards an ex, and lustful desires with a woman that looks like something out of the Bad Girls Club. I guess he's another victim of the Bad Girls Club. One thing you'll learn about the scene is that these artists have a habit of creating a lot of alt accounts to experiment freely and not clog up their primary account with nonsense. One alt SoundCloud account is Ericdoa 2 for demos, scraps, and other random stuff that was abandoned in December 2020. However, the most infamous alter ego of Ericdoa is Dante Red. That probably deserves a video of its own. Dante Red was a side project Eric started to explore new sounds outside of Ericdoa, but it quickly became something deeper and darker, a way for him to discover who he really was. It was this more violent, rap-focused flexing side of Ericdoa, containing more of a bit crushed sound. It was full of distorted vocals and glitchy beats. Dante Red quickly developed a dedicated underground fanbase with songs like Moving Like a Zombie, released in July, inspiring digicore singlet She Asked Me What My Life Is Like under Eric. At first, nobody knew Dante Red was Eric's other persona until he decided to reveal the truth. The short EP under Eric, Hi, I'm Dante, in September, brought more attention to his primary catalog. Eric was ultimately inspired to shift from hip-hop to a more electronic sound, due to seeing the reception that Dante Red got. More on Dante in a bit. Despite being on the rise, he was quite down bad, as seen by this Lyrical Lemonade interview he deeply regrets, being practically homeless, miserable, banned from Airbnb, wearing the same clothes every day, and not having enough food. It takes a toll on you. Going from making music in private without showing your face, to being catapulted into the public eye because you have to at this point to grow. It's not like he wanted to become one of the faces of digicore. He was apparently getting clowned a lot in the scene, in comparison to the love that Glaive and Quinn got. Thankfully, he was able to recover from this time in his life, meeting his manager Jake Nanez, that helped him out a lot as he continued to grind music, even if it became a repetitive cycle of waking up at 3 p.m., ordering DoorDash, making music through Discord or in person, then pass out. Eventually, his debut album COA arrived on November 6, 2020. It was a coming-of-age project that turned the underground hype he had into something real. It helped shape the rising experimental hyperpop sound going forward into a polished release, even earning praise from Pitchfork, and helped elevate the online music scene he helped build with other bedroom-driven Discord teens. Across the country, he was seen as a rising star you should look out for. Even if you ignore the lyrics, the colorful textures of his production, the glitchy effects, and the energetic pitch-shifting vocal leads is a pure vibe. Goes hard. These tracks go by quite fast as well. You won't catch everything first listen. It does make it quite replayable admittedly, where even now fans call it his best project. Feeling controlled by someone and staying quiet to avoid conflict, while also being conflicted about the relationship in general in 2008. The buzzy, bass-heavy likewise were events about a chaotic push-and-pull relationship, trying to navigate a toxic relationship that keeps him pulling back on Ivy and Things You Do to Me with break-ins. Hurt by a toxic past relationship on the cutting razor synth of self-sabotage, overwhelmed by his lover's sexual demands on Deep End, being stuck on a mistake that he tries to move on from out of shame. Also, Dante Red takes over on one track to flex and go Rambo on Do or Die, searching for motivation on Loose Ties, struggling with doubt, fame and past friendships on Thanks for the Warning, and breaking up a toxic relationship for the best of each party on the acoustic Plea. In early 2021, Ericdoa joined music management company Listen to the Kids and signed to a major label deal with Interscope Records. This decision practically forced Eric to put his side persona Dante Red on pause as it could hurt his image. Following the release of Dante Red's EP on February 7, 2021, Eric killed off the dark side of himself with Finale, a fight between the two personas, where Eric tells Dante he's ready to let go. The shifting vocals help show who's speaking, Dante, who has the more edited vocals, while Eric uses his natural voice. A goodbye to that chapter, reflecting on his growth, and giving a heartfelt farewell to a younger, more uncertain version of himself. Or at least, that's what most people thought. You see, Eric secretly continued the Dante Red story through cryptic SoundCloud uploads in the fall 2021 and fan-driven ARG lore, but label restrictions have ultimately stalled the narrative for now. There was another alt he created, Avon Hill 2004, who released Digital Hate Diary on July 27, 2021, made during one of the hardest times for his mental health. It was a chance for Eric to start fresh and let go of old emotions. As he performed a sold-out tour, his major label debut single, Fantasize, came around in May. An incredibly funky tune about being stuck in his own thoughts and being obsessed with someone who keeps rejecting him. This was my introduction to Eric, thanks to one of my old pals in the scene. Thank you, Scott. Speaking of old pals, Ericdoa worked with Glaive to record an EP at a North Carolina Airbnb and studio in early 2021 titled Then I'll Be Happy, is probably what their label said after they forced him to record the EP. The two first met on Discord playing CSGO and initially hated each other. However, they both realized each other's talent and started making music together, and they would share it through their niche communities that other artists would support, leading to songs like Spinna gaining traction. As I said, yes, they were ultimately forced by Interscope to do an EP together as they were the two biggest acts in their scene. The lead single Cloak and Dagger was released on January 21st, 2021 to celebrate Glaive's 16th birthday. It was followed by Fuck This Town on July 9th. After its release, Glaive and Eric went on tour across North America during the fall of 2021. Overall, it goes through lyrics written like emotional, edgy one-liners. They would be assisted production-wise by Nick Mira and Weefin that gave the two young artists this pop rap leaning vibe with occasional glitchy digicore elements that makes room for a mainstream crossover, so it received lukewarm reviews as many critics didn't see the two having a lot of chemistry and thought the experience was short and safe with little experiments. It's not like they were forced to make it or anything, at least it was a commercial success and was a benefit to their careers whether they like it or not. How they approached life after gaining fame and the people they lost in their lives, like Glaive's best friend Joel on Naturel, the mental struggles and trauma their partners caused on the clunky mental anguish, how they've gotten so used to it like it's a fluent language. The fast-paced, colorful Heather flexes their achievements, wanting to stay with someone on the funky pretending and fists, but the relationship has become so fake and draining that he's starting to lose interest. Handle Me has this gritty, accessible groove and catchy hook, singing about their past relationships while battling with feelings of desperation, concluding with Cloak and Dagger and Fuck This Town, cutting toxic and clout-chasing people from their lives. Ericdoa kicked off 2022 strong, when his catchy as hell song that needed to be longer, Sad For What, was featured on the Season 2 soundtrack of HBO's Euphoria in January. Initially, his team worked on it for like 4 days, then completely forgot about it until placing it as a demo pack for HBO to possibly use. Well, they were pretty shocked that it was actually picked. Being involved in one of the biggest series at the time certainly helped his credit in the music industry. Charlie XCX, The Kid Laroi, Trippie Redd, and Addison Rae even endorsed this singer. On February 23, 2022, Ericdoa dropped the lead single, Fool for Love, for his sophomore release, Things With Wings. To promote the album, he announced a brief spring tour, followed by the second single, Lifeline. On April 23, 2022, Eric posted all the details that you need, including a release date of May 20th, 2022, along with an international tour. After selling out his own tour, Eric joined the Kid Laroi as a supporting act on his North American tour. It seems like on this record, Eric doesn't know if he wants to make hyperpop or dance pop, giving us some unpredictable results. A lot more pop leaning mostly. Introduced with spoken word from Charlie XCX explaining how it feels to be stuck before delivering the bouncy OCD, denying an obsessed ex-girlfriend attention. Then there's how big companies, labels, can be a lifeline, something powerful that can support you and help you in life. However, this lifeline can lead to bad things if you're not careful. A blend of acoustic and digital drums on cheap liquor with a strong digital bass drowning out sorrows and alcohol. Broke My Car Radio, 21 Pilots reference, sees Eric distancing from a toxic partner and realizing the dishonest lies on the groovy bassline back phases. The chill snap beat Night That We Dance is Eric apologizing for his impulsive behavior and putting his flaws behind to be with this girl, until he's feeling like Britney Spears on Prima Donna, chaotic and promiscuous. Another Brittany reference could be on Hey There, Nice to Meet You with that Piece of Me line, wishing to never see a lion next again. Enjoy the brief guitar solo on Haven where things never seem to change, including this guy not having a good partner. Victim goes synthwave, laying down someone easy as he doesn't seem ready to commit, before learning how to be in a real relationship on Fool for Love, even if it feels awkward and new. First Day of Summer is a look at potential commitment with someone who makes him feel calm, happy, and at ease, as seen by the sound of fireworks. The insanely glitchy attention whore tackles some desperate ex trying to get his attention, concluding with a moving synth ballad in tribute to his mother on Commander Drive, ensuring her it's gonna be okay for the both of them. Looking back, he's not happy with this project. He didn't feel like it was like a creative process, instead it felt like a chore, and for a while he stopped making music and considered retirement. Following a 9-month break, Ericdoa returned on March 5th, 2023 with the song Greater Than One, made in partnership with Riot Games and Valorant, ensuring his friends he'll be by their side. Fits in context to the team game. It is now his most popular song on Spotify. He also created another alt account, DearLover46, in April 2023 for experiments he wants to drop when he's bored. While he was in the dark, Eric discovered Monty Python and started learning about the Puerto Rican socialist group, the Young Lords. The visuals of this 70s street gang that demanded respect for the Puerto Ricans and Latino community. This combination inspired him and gave him the drive to make his own impact, leading to his return to music. On September 22nd, 2023, he dropped Kickstand as the lead single for his upcoming third album. Then on November 3rd, he released Dancing with Somebody. Eventually, he had a Twitch release party for his third and final single, Sweet Tooth, on December 14th, where Eric would also share the track listing for his third album, DOA. A few days later, Eric announced its release on January 19th, 2024. It's also important to mention that his EP of the same name from 2019 was completely removed after this release. I'm guessing this decision was made to avoid confusion. It was a creative and fun dance pop experience that started off more pop leaning before making way for the hyperpop style that he became famous for towards the second half. The Cake is a Lie refers to the first Portal game where you're promised cake after completing 19 levels, but instead you're led to a trap, revealing that the cake was a lie all along, like a deceiving person in your life. Dancing with Somebody goes in a funky house direction, falling for a girl he knows is bad for him, hoping to make up for this girl's previous ex with caution on Big Ass Bear Man. The braggadocious pop trap of Kickstand goes on about Eric having money and says people don't need to worry about him, even rejecting a gold digger on Paystub. Arm and a Leg is a fascinating, gritty indie rock and electronic fusion, making a sacrifice to revive even a small part of love with someone. It can come with a high cost. The return to hyperpop begins with Last June, where a relationship just isn't working, adjusting to a relationship getting more serious on I'm Cool, I'm Good, I'm Straight, while dealing with both the positives and challenges that come with it, even if Eric somewhat doubts they'll work out like his other relationships, being trapped in a destructive lifestyle on the drill-inspired Crisis Actor, ending with a sugar rush of a love song, Sweet Tooth. To promote the album, Ericdoa did a 2-hour freestyle Twitch live stream on January 5th, 2024. 20 minutes in, he got emotional talking about his late grandfather who passed away from COVID in 2021, the one that got him his first guitar. To change the mood, he suddenly sang,
Imagine if Ninja got a low taper fade. Imagine if Ninja got a low taper fade.
Imagine if Ninja got a low taper fade. This was the first silly thought he could think of to avoid crying in front of his viewers. On January 11th, the clip was posted on the Ericdoa Clips TikTok page, where it got over 1 million views in a day. The audio quickly went viral on TikTok, sparking other brain rot that accumulated 30 million views. Soon, the Photoshop images rolled in of Ninja with the haircut, and many urged him to actually get it. Well, Ninja actually got the low taper fade that he debuted through NFL's TikTok, even if people argued that it wasn't a true low taper fade. But then he just kept mentioning the joke throughout the year, long after it went viral.
What's crazy is that low taper fade, like, meme is, dude, it is still massive. Seeing, like, new ones that I've never seen before that have, like, millions of likes and views still that are popping up all over the place.
This statement became a meme itself, where people joked about other popular memes like Stable Ronaldo singing Payphone being still insanely massive. He was accused of dragging the joke. Many believed he would be dragging it as far as 2100. Every time you'd hear him say the word massive, you knew it was coming. So basically, it's a meme that will go down in internet history for remaining popular the entire year. However, that same year, Ericdoa suddenly left Interscope. He shared on a podcast that he was just generally unhappy with them, for example being pressured into making an EP with Glaive. Instead, Eric started a 24/7 live stream on August 1st, 2024 with the goal of creating a new EP that would become Why Suffer For Us. The stream was titled Locked In, where he'd record 15 new songs and collaborate with various artists for 15 days. Acts like Glaive, D4VD, Bobby Raps, Underscores, and the Kid Leroy all pulled up. However, the record went through several delays and difficulties where the promised 15 tracks turned into only 6 due to clearance and scheduling issues, and being unsatisfied with some of the songs. He had a song with the Kid Leroy, for example, that sadly had to get scrapped. Now that I've heard his catalog, he sounded a lot like Leroy if he made digicore. Following 4 complicated months, it was released on November 29th, 2024. Hoping to See a Girl by the End of the Night on Song for When the Bar Closes, The Colorful Groove of Do Ya goes through toxic relationships and the struggles that come to fame. Search and Destroy is told from the view of a video game style action hero like Call of Duty, before reuniting with Glaive on Throw It Up, that builds from a quiet ambiance to explosive electronic drop, briefing their mental health, relationships, and life goals. This would go hard live, one for the troops to question whether their partner would stay loyal if given the chance to be with someone else. The acoustic point blank is the regret, heartbreak, and self-awareness after a relationship ends. Now that Ericdoa is no longer a major label artist, he has a lot more freedom to do whatever he wants with his music at this point. Like, look who's back, Dante Red. Expect to see more of him soon. Going forward, I expect him to continue to drop banger projects and evolve as an artist. The dude is simply a hilarious personality. There's a reason he became a meme. I'm glad he's still finding success in unique ways. Has a great story to boot, to day-long Discord calls, to taking part in popularizing an entire wave of music, to selling out shows and having songs featured in Euphoria and Valorant, to convincing Ninja to get a low taper fade. I'm sure this isn't going to be the last unpredictable arc in Eric's story. You truly never know what is coming from this guy. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more like it, leave a like and subscribe for more base content. Give me more suggestions from this scene that you'd love to see me cover. I'll see y'all in the next one. Make sure to love all, and peace.